For most of us, our image of the Pentagon is pretty much fostered by cloak and dagger novels and big-budget Hollywood films. Tonight, we will dispel the myths and take you inside the real world, the world that exists behind closed doors. Since 1943, every major military decision in our country has come out of this building. Amazing, considering they can't physically launch a missile from here, but they can order it. There are no silos buried underneath the building, no aliens hidden underground. What you will see on the surface is a maze of 17.5 miles of endless hallways and lots of people. What you don't see is the top secret world that includes intelligence, communications, and the war rooms of the 4 military branches. From the maintenance workers to 4-star generals, all of the Pentagon's 25,000 civilian and military employees effectively work for one man, Secretary of Defense Dr. William Perry.
My principal management technique is what's called MBWA, management by walking around. I try to go and meet with and talk with the people who are most important in the Defense Department.
Typically, Secretary Perry arrives at his office early and begins his 15-hour day with a staff meeting. Every day at 7:30 a.m., he meets with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, 4-star General Joan Shahlikashvili. As the president's top military advisor, General Shahli's first job of the day is to give a classified briefing to the secretary on what's happened in the world overnight.
He had lost control or spinning because it was a flat landing.
No clue why the injection didn't work.
Don't know.
Born in Warsaw, Poland, raised in Illinois, General Shahli's career path was unlikely, considering he never planned to be in the military.
I had every intention of becoming an engineer. Bought myself a 1957 Chevy Impala, and on that day received my draft notice.
Take yourself back to that moment.
I was thunderstruck. I knew that if I went into the service, my total paycheck wouldn't cover my car payment for my new Impala. I still was convinced I was just going to spend my 2 years in the military and then leave.
35 years after leaving Peoria, Illinois, the general was appointed chairman of the Joint Chiefs by the president when Colin Powell retired in 1993. Supporting General Shahlikashvili are the military elite, including the 4 heads of the services. Once a week, the country's highest-ranking generals, admiral, and commandant meet in a secret session. What's behind this closed door has never before been filmed. It's called the Tank. And since 1957, this has been the private, off-the-record conference room for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And what goes on inside this room stays inside this room. The Tank is completely soundproof. There are no windows, no phones, and no transcripts are ever published.
You're not going to let the public know about this, are you?
Okay, so we're going to work.
Tell me about what goes on behind those closed doors.
It gives us an opportunity to sit there and shape the military advice that we wish to give the Secretary of Defense or the President or the National Security Council.
Does it get heated? Do they have that sense that they can say anything?
Absolutely. I think it can get heated, but most conversations are really 6 of us trying to solve a problem that affects us equally.
I guess last April.
This is the Pentagon parking lot, and at first glance it looks like any other parking lot. But 60 feet below me, encased in steel and concrete, is what we would call a war room. The Pentagon calls it the Army Operations Center. Down here, cell phones and pagers won't work. The most secret room is called the bunker.
Chief of Staff of the Army, General Reimer.
It is here that action officers deliver their weekly intelligence and operations briefings to the Chief of Staff, top-ranking generals, and selected commanders.
We don't want a lot of people to know it exists, not because we have anything to hide. We don't advertise our existence, and those who know or need to know we're here.
Like the Army, each of the services has its own war room. Ultimately, all the intelligence they gather, monitor, and discuss is fed into one place. This is the National Military Command Center, where the military watches the world. It's the nerve center of the Pentagon. And to gain access here, you have to go past 3 armed checkpoints, have a top secret clearance, and a need to know. You are inside what might be the most sophisticated communications facility in the world, a 3-story windowless enclave with electronic eyes. The hallways are lined with speakers. The steady sound of music provides white noise, hampering the ability for electronic monitoring from the outside. Data fed from satellites, reconnaissance pilots, field commanders, television and wire services provide a constant flow of information monitored by a watch commander who must hold the rank of at least a general or an admiral.
The most important thing that's going on is to get the information that we need, to filter it, to make sure that we assess that it's accurate, and then make sure that we pass it up in a timely manner up to our national leadership. I am here just to execute the orders.
During the recent attacks on Iraq, the NMCC is the place where the president's orders to fire were processed, then delivered to the bases and the ships where the missiles were ultimately launched. During a crisis, who do you call? Who do you wake up?
Initially, our requirements are to notify the chairman and then get the Secretary of Defense on the line and make sure his staff and assistants are notified.
Kind of like an everyday question, but what if the wife answers the phone?
Normally, in the middle of the night, on the phones that we call, it's not the spouse.
The NMCC is the nucleus of the larger military command system. Should the NMCC be destroyed or even temporarily disabled, the responsibility for receiving and executing presidential orders is shifted to any one of 3 alternate sites, strategically located throughout the country: deep underground at Fort Ritchie, Maryland, inside Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, or Offutt Air Force Base, Omaha, Nebraska. This is the headquarters of NAOC, America's elite, top-secret National Airborne Operations Center. Codename, Night Watch. The heart of Night Watch is the E-4B, a military-modified 747, also known as the Flying White House. This is the real plane that the President, the Secretary, and the Joint Chiefs would use in the event of a catastrophic emergency.
Prepare for emergency launch.
It is a self-contained communications platform. There are 4 E-4Bs in existence. One is always on alert, fueled, and ready with a battle staff of at least 65. They can be airborne within minutes.
We have the capability that the other command centers do not have, is that we're mobile. We can move. And for bad weather, natural disaster, or some type of threat, we can move and avoid that.
Night Watch is set up for long missions. There is a stateroom that doubles as an office, a soundproof conference room with seating for 10, a full galley, bunk beds for the crew, and some limited seating. But the majority of the interior is occupied by the battle station and the communication equipment it takes to run it. On top of the jet, there are several antennas housed in the distinctive dome. These antennas link the commanders on board with secure phone lines, faxes, and teletypes, giving them the ability to communicate with everything from satellites to submarines and anything in between.
We have a telephone number. We can reach them anytime, anywhere, any place, worldwide.
Outside of the cockpit, the only windows on board are on the doors. All are covered with wire mesh to protect against the effects of a nuclear blast. What really sets the E-4B apart from other 747s is its mid-air refueling capability. At 29,000 feet, going 450 miles an hour, it is an aerial ballet. The pilots describe it as the hardest maneuver to perform in a 747.
We do have the capability to stay up for an indefinite period of time, nominally about 72 hours. With only 1 aircraft, if we had all of our aircraft, we really could continue to keep an airborne presence indefinitely. It's a beautiful aircraft, and I think if the day ever came that we could execute our mission if called upon, but I think all of us hope that day never happens, and we like to think that one of the reasons that it never happens is because we exist.
The 747 is the largest military aircraft in the world. It is the most advanced, reliable, and reliable aircraft in the world. It is the most But if that day ever does come, the goal is to be prepared. Every day, on every watch, all 4 command centers work together, drilling for the ultimate, a nuclear war. Let's say it was something really bad. Let's say it's a missile being launched. How much time do you have?
Under 30 minutes in order to make a decision.
So under 30 minutes. Whether it's real or just a scenario, every procedure is scripted like a play. Drills are never longer than 30 minutes. And in that half hour, the watch commander and his team effectively function as a classified telephone company.
What we're doing, Joan, is setting up a virtual conference room, as if we were all sitting in the same conference room.
Simultaneously, they must locate and connect the military hierarchy, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the Secretary of Defense.
Mr. Secretary, based on the latest information that we have, I recommend we add the President.
Because particularly in a missile crisis, your greatest enemy is time. So my role is to advise both Secretary Perry and the President on what is going on, and what the options are, and what the recommended course of action is. As a matter of fact, when you go through one of those drills, you are absolutely convinced that someone is goofing around with a clock, that you can't have so little time left.
In the event that nuclear weapons are ordered, the watch commander has one additional responsibility. And that brings us to the key around your neck.
We have to make sure that we have the President in the event a national crisis exists. And before we continue with the decision-making process, we have to authenticate and make sure that he is the man we're talking to. These keys just allow me access into the safe to get to the codes to perform that function. Mr. President, your orders have been transmitted. All saints have acknowledged. Sir, this conference will remain open to provide you the latest information as it becomes available. It's serious business, and while the probability may not be real high, the seriousness of the program, the fact that 0 defects are authorized in this business is sobering.
Tonight, as the crisis in Iraq escalates, the decisions coming out of this building will continue to be debated, analyzed, and criticized, as all decisions have been for the last 50 years. You're up here at the top. I mean, it's always the people at the top that take the heat. How hot has it been for you?
It's been hot.
Yeah.
Even if it were not for the public attention and the public and the congressional attention, all of those keep a spotlight on what we're doing. Even without that, it's internally generated heat. When you realize that what you're doing, you must realize that what you're doing is ordering deployments, which are going to send thousands of people into dangerous situations.
The best advice that I received was to make sure that in this environment, in this town, you do not fall into the trap of rationalizing your decisions. Tell the truth, tell what you believe is the right thing to do, and you'll always be right.
Thank you very much.